Now we move on to U.S. Syrian President Ahmed Al-Sharaa has arrived in the United States on a historic visit, becoming the first Syrian president to visit the White House. According to reports, he is scheduled to meet President Donald Trump on November 10th. Al-Sharaa has previously visited New York to participate in the United Nations General Assembly, but this marks his first state visit to Washington. According to U.S. Envoy Tom Barak, during the visit, Damascus is expected to sign an agreement to join the U.S.-led international coalition against ISIS. The United States recently removed Al-Sharaa from its sanctions list following a UN Security Council's decision a year ago. He has led Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, an al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. Trump and Al-Sharaa are also expected to discuss direct negotiations between Syria and Israel. Al-Sharaa aims to secure a deal under which Israel withdraws from southern Syrian territories and holds raids amid ongoing tensions in the region. Now for this discussion, we welcome Hamid Naderian. He's a journalist and a Middle East affairs analyst, joins us live from Tehran. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to NewsX World. Now, looking at this, Hamid, can you tell us what are the political implications of U.S. lifting sanctions on this particular individual, Syrian President Ahmed Al-Sharaa, for regional stability and also their motive on Middle East affairs, and to what extent does this historic U.S.-Syria engagement signal a shift in American foreign policy?
Hello, how are you doing? I'm very glad to be talking to you again.
Thank you.
The fact of the matter is, you're welcome. The fact of the matter is, if you can remember, in 2012, the United States sort of invaded Syria alongside its allies. It was a very sizable coalition under the guise of fighting ISIS, the so-called Islamic State. Now, the United States has backed down. All of its allies, have withdrawn, and it's like, the size of the United States troops in Syria has seriously dwindled, and the task has been sort of given to the new Syrian authorities, the new Syrian regime. Something I don't understand personally is that why can the United States invade a country and topple its government or do it serious damage under the guise of fighting the same group, and now sort of is very easily hand over the task, sort of devolve the task to the Syrian regime. And something else I don't personally understand is this guy, Ahmed Al-Sharaa's rebranding, Mr. Al-Jolani's rebranding. It's like until a while ago, this person was a known and self-admitted ISIS commander, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham commander, HTS commander, as you said, Al-Qaeda's Syria offshoot commander. And, all of a sudden he shifts from turbans and the so-called Takfiri terrorism attire into diplomatic attire and suits and ties and all-out diplomatic look. Something that I personally suspect here is that when it comes to the United States and the Israeli regime's interests, the United States easily rebrands some person, easily establishes rapport with that person. It's like it was okay to topple the Assad government to sort of face Syria with an influx of Takfiri terrorists, all of a sudden change the entire scenery as a means of toppling the Assad government. But right now it's like a former Al-Qaeda commander, a former ISIS commander can all of a sudden become America and Israel's best friend. I think it's the United States way of repurposing politics and sort of manipulating the situation in favor of its interests on the ground and the interests of the Israeli regime. I think what is meant by promoting Al-Sharaa and inviting him to the White House and giving him audience with Trump is promoting and advancing Washington and Tel Aviv's interests in the region, in the West Asia region.
Yes, indeed. And building on your answer, you nailed it over there, saying that repurposing or moving his image, putting Ahmed Al-Sharaa in a suit from a turban. But of course, no one or almost everybody knows his past and his ties. So, how long do you think how long will it take for people to forget his past, or to kind of see him as how America is rebranding him? And from America's point, how do you think they will make, how much effort will they be making towards kind of repurposing or reimagining Ahmed Al-Sharaa's image? What do you think? Hamid? Okay. Syrian President Ahmed Al-Sharaa has arrived in the United States on a historic visit. Now we move on to our next news. Thank you very much, Hamid, for joining us and sharing that insight. Moving on, Syria's Interior Ministry has stated that Syria has carried out nationwide preemptive operations targeting Islamic State cells. Syrian security forces have carried out 61 raids in which 71 people were arrested, and the forces also seized weapons and explosives. According to the Interior Ministry spokesperson, these actions were based on precise intelligence information and were part of Syria's ongoing national efforts to combat terrorism and protect citizens. Many of those who were detained were described as wanted criminals and were linked to terrorist activities. Officials said the raids were launched after intelligence reports indicated that it was planning fresh attacks inside of the country. This comes as Syrian President Ahmed Al-Sharaa is reluctant to join international alliance against ISIS. Now for this discussion, we welcome back Hamid Nardarian. He's a journalist and Middle East affairs analyst, joins us live from Tehran. Thank you very much, Hamid, for joining us again. Good to see you. Hamid, now looking at this and adding this news to our conversation, how does Syria's preemptive operations against Islamic State cells, how does it affect its security and counterterrorism cooperation? And how could Syrian raids and arrests impact U.S.-Syria negotiation that's ongoing right now in U.S.?
It's like moments ago you mentioned Ahmed Al-Sharaa's pending visit to the United States, to the White House. And I believe that in order to lend more so-called legitimacy to this so-called new Syrian leader, which I think is a propped-up leader, it's not a real democratically elected leader. I cannot remember the election process. It's like it was wholesale Takfiri raids, Takfiri terrorist raids across Syria, expanding from the Idlib province in northwestern Syria, and with full support from the United States and backup aerial raids by the Israeli regime that helped install the new HTS regime, Ahmed Al-Sharaa's new administration. So I think in order to lend more legitimacy to Ahmed Al-Sharaa, the United States is trying to portray him as the person who, despite once commanding ISIS, commanding HTS in Syria, is now fighting ISIS. All right. So these raids are going to be successful by all means, because I think the United States is going to lend it all the military support, and the Israeli regime is going to do the same. So they are going to be fighting ISIS, even, for the sake of appearance, and the ISIS is going to suffer resounding defeat. And after that, Donald Trump is going to hail the newfangled alliance between Damascus, the new Damascus, and Washington. And I think it's all for show. I don't think there is any real intention on the part of the HTS regime to fight ISIS. and to eliminate takfiri terrorism. The swift transition between an Al-Qaeda commander and a sort of decently looking guy in suit and tie, I think it raises questions. Maybe this guy was tasked with an agenda in the first place. He was given the costume, he was given the attire to serve as a commander, as a takfiri commander, as a terrorist commander. And then after the Assad regime was toppled, as the United States and the Israeli regime had meant, this guy can serve another purpose. It's like given different clothes, given different roles.
Yes, and building on that and merging our previous discussion, Hamid, I wanted to ask, what do you think is Israel's relations with all this, including their ambitions or their tactics of continuing to attack Syria and even the Syrian capital we saw recently, and now Syrian President Ahmed Al-Sharaa in US? What do you think? What is Israel's motive?
I understand that it's like last year during the flash operations that led to the ouster of the Assad regime. It's like I believe the HTS at the time under Sharaa's commandership was given a so-called carte blanche, right, to go on. Was given the arms, given the equipment, given the logistics, the coordinates to topple the regime. So to topple Assad's government. And it's like at the time Israel was backing it up, backing these operations, these sort of flash operations, swift operations towards toppling Assad by pummeling the former Syrian government's defenses and structures, even civilian structures, right? The ministries, the buildings, the structures, the defenses, the air defenses, it was towards eliminating what remained of the former government, right? Its allies, its soldiers, its forces. It wanted to, wipe it off Syria's map. So it managed. So right now, if the Israeli regime is actually attacking Syria, I suppose it's towards eliminating what is left of Assad's loyalists, right? What is left of, the vestiges, it's like, what is left of that government. It wants to eliminate all the traces in order for the for Al-Sharaa's new regime, new administration to to have whatever it wants, right? So I don't think that the Al-Sharaa's regime and Tel Aviv are at odds at all. You see what I mean? It's like they are in the same league, or at least for now, Al-Sharaa, Washington, and Tel Aviv are supposed to be in the same league. And the big picture is that eventually probably Washington and Tel Aviv are trying for Damascus, for the new administration in Damascus, to enter the Abraham Accords, the normalization, the détente, right, the rapprochement.
Yes.
So in order for the Israeli regime to expand the sphere of its alliance in the region, and by doing so, it would be invigorated, reinforced towards confronting its adversaries. For example, its remaining adversaries, the Islamic Republic, Iran, and its allies, right? All the resistance groups. So its clout, its influence, its leverage, its strategic depth would be deepened. That's my opinion, of course.
Yes, with that, I would like to thank Hamid Nadarian for joining us as a journalist and Middle East Affairs analyst all the way from Tehran and sharing that insight throughout our news. Thank you. Now, that's a wrap on Gulf Today. Keep watching NewsX World for